Hi, everybody. Radical Gardener. How are you? It's Sunday, December 6th, something like that. Um, wow. I cannot believe what I've gotten done today. About a week ago, my body was just completely shutting down. And I just thought it was because, I was dealing with so much. And I knew, and I was thinking like grief in this abstract way. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And then about 3 days ago, my body, everything on my body hurt. I mean, everything. I could hardly walk. My knees were shot. I just felt terrible. And I was not eating like terrible things. And I couldn't figure out why I felt so bad. And I was doing my minerals at night and, just all the, usual suspects, I was doing all that. And I mentioned it to Gretchen, my colleague and dearest friend, and she's a homeopathic doctor. And she said, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you think you've been doing for the last year? Eating bonbons and hanging out on the couch? And I go, yeah, right. And she said, arnica. So I have my stash of homeopathics. I have about 10 different basic homeopathics that I keep here in the house. And she had told me to take a different one at the beginning of last week, which I did. And that was dealing with whatever that was. And then I started taking that arnica, and in 3 hours, I could grieve. I was starting to cry. But with it, my body stopped hurting. So important that you get that stuff out there. Well, with that, I've also been removing myself from the noise, the outside world. And it's leading me to where I need to be. It serves me, I'm not going to speak for you, but it serves me no purpose to be in the fray of the madness, because I'm bringing nothing to it. I'm set for this different path. And this is really tough to unravel, but I want to share it because I know if I'm feeling it, so many other people are. So what this means, what I'm trying to say, is that by being exposed to all the craziness that's been going on to the last 4 years, being in the wake of Trump, the anti-hero, what it's done is it has eventually led me to working and looking at me. And I'm reading things about connection to the divine, and it's so much I can't even begin to tell you. But with it, my body has lightened up. I feel different. My thinking is getting it's like getting this big cleanse. I'm not running around looking for solutions, because none of us can do that yet, because none of us have really identified what the problems were or where they started, or, this has nothing to do with Biden or liberals or any of that crap. It's like, when did we turn south? And that was thousands of years ago, where we forgot our connection to the divine and our connection to the earth and our connection to all that is really who and what we are. The rest of this stuff is just noise, right? So it's been fascinating, because I'm looking in the mirror every day now, and I'm looking younger daily. because I'm tapping into something that is not something. I'm tapping into God consciousness, becoming quiet, not pursuing answers, but just being quiet and being in the moment and listening. So like today, I just heard that I was supposed to do these different things, I just kind of moved. It was almost like a robot. You really should straighten out that pantry so you know what you have when you go grocery shopping, because you do have to watch your money, and I thought, okay, so I did that and thought, you really do need to, deal with this mundane things. But I wasn't like making a list. It was, okay, next indicated thing. Well, it's happening with what I read and like what YouTube video I make and who I call and what discussion I have. And it's been remarkable. And this is what I was talking about a little bit yesterday, is this is this facing the shadow. This was my shadow. My shadow was thinking that I was making a difference. Bullshit. I wasn't making a difference. Oh, there'll be people who tell you I was, but they're wrong. I wasn't making a difference. I was just adding to the noise, right? So, but then saying, I was doing whatever I was supposed to be doing at the time, but that wore out. I'm done. I'm done with that, because whatever happens, that's the next step for us. No matter what happens. Would the fact that if Biden became president, because he's just a symptom of the disease, and we're part of the disease, would Biden, what would that do? Maybe that would wake up the entire world and go, oh my God, what were we thinking, right? I mean, who knows? I'm not going to second guess the divine plan. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. There's wisdom, an infinite wisdom that I just have to be quiet and feel it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a man taller than a shadow. And this comes from the Heyoka, and I mentioned it yesterday. And the Heyoka are, again, the medicine people, or medicine people who would deal, as far as I can tell, solely with things like shadow, but maybe more, because I really don't know their ways that well. I mean, actually Gretchen knows way more than I do, but whatever, part of their job was showing man that he was taller than his shadow. And this, again, was part of the Lakota tribe. So I'm going to read this wonderful article by Wambly Sina Win. From the south, up above, a threatening mass of dark thunderclouds moved swiftly towards the direction of a Lakota camp. A storm coming from the south was much feared by the people for the devastation it could bring. Noting the signs, the people fearfully gathered around their protector, the old holy man. As a thunder dreamer, the sacred clown, or Heyoka, was much more than just an ordinary man. He was the defender of his red people, as well as their sanctuary and stronghold from the storms of life. The old Heyoka, with people around him, stood and faced the west, the direction of his vision. The sky darkened all around. With tears in his eyes and his arms raised, palms held upwards to the heavens, he prayed in a strong, clear voice. Wakan Tanka, from the clouds, you gave me a bow. You gave me a bow. But my aim has been poor and my resolve has faltered. Hear my pitiful voice that the Wakinyan, thunder beings, who bring this storm from the south will listen to me. Cleanse this place so new life may bloom upon the earth once more. We are few and I am one. But I pray to you with faith, spare my people and make us new again. As he finished this powerful prayer, the old Heyoka parted the clouds with the waving upward motion of his hands. The people watched as the massive thunderstorm so near them miraculously divided in half, leaving the people safely in the middle. That evening around the campfire, there was laughter, soup, and prayers of thanksgiving, for once again the people's faith in Wakantanka was strengthened. They had seen their beloved old Heyoka charge the heavens and use his sacred vision to save his red people, thereby giving them hope for the future. The Heyoka is a man taller than his shadow. The extraordinary power to part clouds is seldom used unless lives are threatened. Now, I'm reading a book right now about these sages in India, and it's a book that was, it's referring to this party of 12 that from this country, England, maybe England, who went to India to find the masters, who actually the masters found them, of course, but they could do things like this all the time. So this isn't like, oh, what a fairy tale. This is what we're capable of if we're plugged into the infinite wisdom and love of the God consciousness. We are that magic. And by believing anything other than that dims our potential. We've never really understood what we are capable of doing. And it's becoming really clear to me. So, the Heyoka is a man taller than his shadow. The extraordinary power to part clouds is seldom used unless lives are threatened. The Heyoka is a creature of faith, but at the same time, he is a rebel because he stubbornly refuses to accept defeat, even when he faces impossible odds. Here we go again. This is that hero's journey. Cancer is a foe which many believe is impossible to defeat, yet some of our fearless Heyoka have faced and defeated cancer. Joe Eagle Elk, and my son as well as others in the past. In Western society, most doctors would have given up, telling the patient that cancer is incurable. See, because they understand disease is in the spirit, it's not in the body. You learn that when you work as a healer. It's like, you become sick in spirit, in the spiritual realm, because you've become disconnected. And once you're disconnected from earth, God, divine, all the divinity, and your specialness, once you're disconnected from that, you're going to start getting sick. And then it becomes mental, right? Spiritual, mental, and then it becomes physical. So it's a process. And this is what they're saying here. Today, our brother, the buffalo, is nearly gone. Just as the Heyoka is near extinction too. Both were part of the golden age of the Heyoka. When our people... Oh God, I hate that cuts the top of this stuff off. I'm going to have to not read the rest of that sentence. Or a Heyoka may not reveal all he knows, for his existence is in faith. If a person is told everything, this person may give up. A Heyoka has a higher calling and must be strong enough to go against human instinct in order to hold out hope for the people to keep them going during times of difficulty. And all the people are, is they've really never had the faith, because they could do what the Heyoka did. They could do that too, but they don't know that they can do that. They've lost that memory. One of the greatest misconceptions is that one chooses to be a Heyoka. This is not true. Just as a buffalo cannot choose to become a goat and vice versa, neither can an ordinary person wake up one day and choose to become a heyoka. One cannot take classes to learn to become a heyoka or train to become a heyoka. There's no way to become certified or apprentice to become a heyoka. One cannot go up on the hill on a vision quest and dream it up, and one certainly can't make it up. It is Wakan Tanka, the great mystery, who chooses the heyoka before he or she is ever born. Who in their right mind would willingly choose such a life of hardship and sacrifice? Right. So, and I believe that's true for all of us. You know, the choice was made. Maybe it was a co-creative decision between the divine and us within our infinite divinity. And we said, this is what's needed in this life. Let me go down and do it this way now. A lot of people don't believe in destiny, but whatever. I'll debate that until the cows come home. In today's plastic world, there are many fakes who are driven by greed or desire to become notorious. But there are ways to tell the real heyoka from a fake. Can this person handle fire or pick up hot stones with his bare hands without being burned? Can he prophesy? There are spiritual consequences for those who lie about such things, for the thunder beings fiercely protect their own and their helpers. Long ago, each tribe had their own heyoka or sacred clowns who were their protectors and defenders. Now, just as the eagle and the buffalo are disappearing, so are the heyoka. It sounds like the evangelist. That's a group of people. One heyoka always knows another heyoka when he meets one, according to Richard Erdoes, co-author of the book on Grandpa John's life, whose name was Lame Deer. Seeker of visions, while reminiscing about a time when two Lakota heyoka, that's the name of the book, Seeker of Visions. Yep, another book I have to order. While reminiscing about a time when two Lakota heyoka, Grandpa John Fire and Henry Crow Dog, who were friends, were both guests at Erdoes' New York apartment at the same time during a civil rights march in the late 1960s. According to Erdoes, these two heyoka enjoyed each other's company, but due to the heyoka nature to be contrary, they enjoyed verbal jousting and argued through the night until the early morning hours. Get it? Wow, that's really powerful. So their job is to be contrary. Forces you to look at yourself. According to Grandpa John and my son, the heyoka power tends to stay within the bloodline of a particular family, although it might skip a generation or two. The power is always there. Notably, the Eagle Elk family was one such family. Another one of our most noted heyoka was Tasunka Witko, Chief Crazy Horse, whose life was a continual battle to save his people. For a warrior's work never ends, especially not the half-man, half-spirit warrior that he was. Would you ever read his book? Whew, that is a good book. Chief Crazy Horse's Hart was a stronghold. I don't think Chief Crazy Horse wrote it. I don't remember. I read it a long time ago. Chief Crazy Horse's Heart was a stronghold for his red people, big enough to include other tribes beyond his own tribal affiliation. Today at Pine Ridge, Northern Cheyenne Chief Dull Knife's descendants, who were protected by this great man, still live among our people. Though short in stature, Chief Crazy Horse, the heyoka, was a man taller than his shadow. I dedicate this story to our beloved Lakota heyoka, past and present, including my son, Waikoni, who have had the courage to keep the rebel heyoka spirit alive. So, and then this is Native American. Let me try and pronounce it. Hekel Oyate Kin Nipi Kata. So that our people should live strong physically, spiritually, and culturally. This was a time when our people walked the red road, and our Lakota virtues of honesty, courage, fortitude, wisdom, humility, generosity, and loyalty were practiced, not just spoken of. Our heyoka, including Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, were proud members of leadership and a Kisita warrior. So they were like warrior societies, such as the Strong Heart Society and the Kit Fox Society. These warriors pledged that in battle they would stake themselves down with the sash and never retreat, even if death was a certainty. This was courage, which seems to also have become extinct in our leadership today, for who is willing to die for their people? We know who it is. In order to survive these past centuries, we Lakota have had to be tough and resilient people. Many of us today follow in the bloody footprints left by our ancestors. Ugh. Stubbornly, in the spirit of the Heyoka, our ancestors refused to give up during the Trail of Tears after the Sand Creek Massacre, and in spite of Wounded Knee, our people still live. Let us call back that Heyoka rebel spirit, which is a part of our red identity and our red indigenous pride, so that we do not become a caricature of the true Lakota spirit. The Heyoka is much misunderstood, even by our own Lakota today. By being around two Lakota Heyoka, my grandfather, Chief Lame Deer, Tahaka Uste, and my son, I've learned several things. The Heyoka is a brotherhood of those in the present as well as those Heyoka who have gone on. A Heyoka is the human hand as well as the spiritual warrior of the Wakinyan, the thunder beings. Though favored and protected by Wakantanka, with great power, but an even greater responsibility, the Heyoka's life is never his own. Some of the Heyokas, such as Chief Frank Fool's Crow, were able to lead exemplary lives. He was fortunate to have been raised from early childhood in a family which was steeped in Lakota tradition, culture, and knowledge about spirituality. By his own account, Chief Frank Fool's Crow had the support, understanding, and assistance from his family and the spiritual community who understood his calling. However, other Heyoka have not been as fortunate to have the support system. Not all Heyoka fully understood this calling from which they could not run. As a result, some were humbled and suffered personal tragedy until they agreed to do what was asked of them. Yeah, if you keep running from whatever you were meant to do, that doesn't go well. Joseph Eagle Elk, a great Heyoka who's no longer with us today, gave a very poignant account of his own personal struggle in his autobiography, The Price of a Gift. Ultimately, whether the Heyoka lives an exemplary life or not, there is no denying that all Heyoka are mysteriously and spiritually gifted by Wakantanka and the Wakinyan, the thunder beings, and remain a Heyoka even beyond death. So, taller than their shadows. So that is just what it's really felt like for me, is that I'm breaking free from whatever the shadow self. I don't think I have to identify it. I just know that there was a shadow that was cast over my daily life, and I wasn't on a path of enlightenment that I now need to be on. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna make YouTube videos about this stuff as I journey. I don't even care if anybody agrees or getting it or not. It's just, for some reason, I'm supposed to be making these YouTube videos and talking about this stuff. And it does help me to sort it out by saying it out loud. And thank God for Gretchen, who I talk to all the time, and we really are able to sort things out between the two of us, you know, or at least ask big questions. I don't know how many answers we get, but we do ask pretty big questions, Gretchen and I. So, and hopefully they will only get bigger. Okay. Take the car in tomorrow, and I'm going back into the garden. You can hear my washer going. So anyways, Radical Gardener, from my garden to yours, may your garden always grow. and I'm sending you a ton of love. Okay, goodbye.